Are you ready? It is time for another episode of Broad Street and Beyond, where everything Philly sports at Central PA is in play. We leave those New York sports in the penalty box. And now, here's Chase and JT.
And welcome to another edition here of Broad Street and Beyond. It is the interview sessions here where we get you up close and personal with the folks that live the sports every single day. My co-host, JT, the pretty fella right there in the middle. JT, how you making out, man?
Feeling good and ready to watch some baseball and talk some baseball.
Yeah, man, opening day of the major leagues, of course, almost a week old here coming up, and the minor leagues about to start. That's why we have the pretty fellow on the end there that's here with the podcast here today, Broad Street and Beyond. Smell of Baseball is going to be back in Baseballtown coming up here on Tuesday, which begs the question, can you actually smell the baseball season coming up?
I say yes. I there's such a distinct smell when it comes to baseball. But also appreciate you guys having me on. Excited to chat and just talk about the Fightin Phillies and baseball. Just like you said, just you can smell it in the air. Like you walk around the ballpark and you can tell that opening day is getting very close.
Yeah, Jake, you're the director of the PR and media relations down there for the Reading Fightin Phillies. Also the play-by-play broadcaster. You're entering your fourth season down there. How was your off season, man?
Yeah, off season was good. Appreciate you guys having me on, first of all. Busy around here, which I never have any complaints. Just a lot to get ready for the season. Tons of exciting promotions and just so much going on that we're kind of excited to see all the fruits of our labor from the last 5-6 months of work start to be on display on Tuesday. But excited for baseball to be back. I was joking with some of our guys that we're coming in, just seeing old faces that were players here last year and just saying, hey, just super excited to have you guys back and just have a chance to be around baseball and call baseball games again. I know I'm super excited to put the headset back on Tuesday night and just, get it going. I mean, it's a long season, but it's fun. And that's why we do it. And just super stoked to be back.
Yeah, we're going to be doing the hang down there with Froggy Valley 100.1. We're going to be broadcasting live from 3 to 5. We can't wait to be down there. Lots going on for opening day, man. I got to ask you, any rituals that you go through here in the off season, man, like an announcer's spring training or anything? Get you prepared?
Yeah, baseball wise, just I try to stay as fresh as possible. I'm fortunate in the off season I have a chance to broadcast a variety of other sports at different schools. Did a lot of basketball this off season, have done volleyball, soccer, football, in the spring, the lacrosses, and I've gotten to do some baseball and softball as well in the month of March. So that kind of helps me dust the cobwebs off. I'm not as fortunate to have a 30-game spring training schedule to really get the cobwebs dusted off. So I try to take advantage of, an exhibition game that we played this past week against our single A affiliate, Jersey Shore, and just opportunities to call baseball and softball at other various schools in the area. Kind of give me a chance to dust the cobwebs off. But always another kind of first week or two of the season, you're still kind of dusting those cobwebs off. But it's kind of just relying on what you've done before and just kind of just trying to pick up where you left off and knowing that any rust you'll kind of knock off pretty quickly and just get rolling from there.
Jake, before we get into the RPhil season and taking a look at their roster, tell us a little bit about yourself as far as introduce yourself to our listeners and our viewers. What was the early part of your broadcast career like? What led you to Reading and maybe some of the influences that you draw from?
Yeah, 100%. Born and raised, diehard Phillies fan. All Phillies sports: Phillies, Eagles, Flyers, Sixers, all the local college.
I like him already, Chase.
Yeah, he's a keeper.
Grew up a diehard fan of all those teams. I'm from Westchester, Pennsylvania, a suburb about 45 minutes outside of Philadelphia. So grew up going to Phillies games, going to everything. And I'm old enough to remember Harry Kalas. That was kind of one of my first loves, watching Phillies games. I still remember 9-year-old me was just like when he died, I kind of treated it like I lost a family member that I was close with. Like I was devastated, and he was kind of one of those first influences on me. Like I remember being a little kid running around the house, pretending I was playing baseball and impersonating Harry Kalas. And then from there too, I mean, Tom McCarthy, Scott Fransky on the Eagles side, Merrill Reese, Mark Zumoff when he was with the Sixers, Jim Jackson with the Flyers. I mean, the list goes on and on. Just so many people that I grew up watching, and I knew at a young age I wanted to do something in the sports world. And of course, as a little kid, you want to be a professional player. You get cut from the high school team a couple of times, and you quickly realize that that's probably not in the cards. So you ask yourself, what's the next best option? And I knew it either would be writing about sports, broadcasting sports, like that was the goal. Graduated high school, went to Penn State, graduated there in 2022, had a chance to join the student radio station and broadcast every sport under the sun from there. Eventually landed a couple of internships in summer collegiate baseball. Really got to cut my teeth in baseball, and then upon graduating from Penn State in December of 2022, interviewed here with Reading a couple of times and landed this gig, and really haven't looked back since. I knew I was very lucky coming out of college to get a job really anywhere, but to get one with this organization and to be in the Phillies system and to be so close to home is a blessing. And I kind of knew once I got that, I'm like, hey, I'm not giving this up. I'm gonna be here for hopefully a long, long time because it's a great place to work. You're in the Phillies system. You get the work around guys and broadcast guys that are gonna play for the Phillies one day, right? Like it's so cool watching Justin Crawford doing what he's doing and Andrew Painter the other night just because you can say, hey, I talked to him. I watched him in Reading when they were playing in front of, 7, 8,000 fans. Now they're playing in front of 45,000 fans and millions are watching at home. It's cool to get a chance to kind of see those guys along their journey and for them to get to the big leagues and it be for your childhood team. I mean, I think that just makes it even cooler.
Yeah, you're doing an amazing job down there, Jake, for sure. In the 4 years that you've been down there with the Reading Fightin Phillies, and did I understand you correctly? You said you were 9 years old when Harry passed away.
I was 9 years old, yeah, I still remember the day, April 13th, 2009, we were at a field trip, I think it was the Franklin Institute, and, of course,
Right.
I didn't have a cell phone at this point, and smartphones with, like, regular internet access still weren't, like, as prevalent as they were 5, 10 years later, so, one of my friend's dads, who was a chaperone, got a text from somebody that said Harry Callis died, and we were like, "What?" Like, we just didn't expect it, and it that
Yeah.
crushed me, like, that was one of those things that as a 9-year-old, it's like it felt like you just lost one of your own.
Yeah, it was a complete shock for everybody when Harry passed away down there at Nats Park there for the Nats and Phillies game. Let's start off here, Jake, with of course opening night. You guys have a ton of things going on, not only with the giveaway that you guys are going to be giving away that night, but just talk about going into opening night, the jitters, all the feels of opening night down there in Baseball Town. It's always a special time.
Yeah, it's always surreal, and it's hard to it's hard not to get a little bit like emotional too every night when you see it. I mean, this will be my fourth, so I've seen it a few times, but I'm sure I could go and ask our general manager Scott Hunsaker, who this is either going to be his 34th or 35th opening night, and I'm sure he'll say you still get a little choked up and a little you get those jitters. When the opener comes, which is always, it's a good feeling. Like it means you still care and it means you still love what you do. I think for me, the biggest thing is always like, we're here all off season, we're here all winter, and we're staring at an empty ballpark. I think for me, it's the first time I kind of step outside the main gate, and I know it's to, I know I've been on your show the last couple of years, and we're outside the main gate and it's kind of just like watching everybody kind of in line to go in and then it's kind of walking through the plaza and seeing how packed it is before maybe the main grandstand opens up and that's kind of your first taste of like wow like we're back like baseball season is here it's just super cool. It's like it's a party, right? It's like I'll use college as an example, right? It's like your first time back to school after summer break, and you get to finally go out and get together with your friends for the first time in a while. It's like, it just feels great to see everybody. And, over the last 4 years, I've had a chance to meet so many great people and build so many great relationships with, the people that aren't here every day, the fans, ushers, our clean team, security guards, concessions workers. So it's always super cool seeing those people and catching up with them again because it's awesome just being there on opening night and just seeing all those familiar faces for the first time in a while. It's always it's super cool and it's always super special no matter how long you've done it for.
Jake, it seems like every year, or whenever they come out with a list of sort of like the favorite minor league ballpark destinations, it always seems like First Energy Stadium always ranks high up on that list. You've been there now. This is going to be your fourth season with the R Phils. your observations, what do you think? What is it about First Energy Stadium that makes it such a popular venue, an attractive venue for fans? And it seems to happen whether the Arphils are having a good season or a not so good season. What's behind, do you think, the mystique of First Energy Stadium?
Yeah, that's the cool thing about minor league baseball is that regardless of the performance on the field, of course, for me, calling the games, I'd love to see as many wins as possible. But the thing that we know is that what gets people through the gates is everything, right? And I think it's the mystique of this ballpark. It's the nostalgia mix of kind of the modern feel of it also, right? Like the main bowl of this stadium is the same structure that was here in 1951 when the ballpark first opened. But of course, we've upgraded it. We've made a ton of upgrades over the last 75 years of this ballpark. Of course, we have the event center now. I just think there's so many layers to it. What kind of makes this place so special and why so many people love coming here. It kind of all starts. You come through the main gates and you're greeted by a stage and live music and a big full service bar, our tap room bar in our right field plaza. Like you're greeted by all that and like that's your first thing, right? Like you go to other ballparks, you scan your ticket, you go to a concession stand, you get a burger, you get some french fries and you go sit in your seat. Like here there's just so much to do before you get to your seats. And right, opening day, the gate's going to open 2 hours and 15 minutes before first pitch. So you just have so much time and so many things that you can do. There's so many, like every demographic of person that you could think would go to a baseball game has something to do here, right? Like you're bringing kids to the game. We have our kids funland that has a moon bounce, that has boardwalk games, mini golf, speed pitch, and it's safe and parents are comfortable with, hey, we're gonna have a beer at the tap room and our kids are gonna go in the bouncy house because we're 20 feet away from them and it's a safe environment. If you care about live music, if you just want to go and get, I don't say a cheap dinner, but a value dinner, like $23, you can get an all you can eat buffet. And you might not even watch any of the baseball game, but you might go make 3, 4 trips to the buffet and you probably got what you would get at a regular restaurant for $60, $70 for $23 at the buffet. If you're like me and probably like you guys as well, and you are baseball junkies like I am, you get to watch a game and you get to be so up close and personal, right? Like I can pay 16, $17 and have a seat 5 rows off the field, right? Like there's not many places you can do that. For the kids that were like me when I was 9, 10 years old, you're so close to the players and it's so easy to get autographs here. It's just so much easier to have that access that you don't get at a big league stadium. And of course, I love going to big league games, but the reality is that family of 4 to go to a major league game, you're probably looking at almost $200 in tickets, $25 for parking. Food could be another $100. Like that's a $300-$400 night out. Family of 4 here, free parking, general admission tickets for say, $10. Maybe it's a $50 or $60 night outing. So I think the affordability factor of it as well, and just all the entertaining in between innings stuff, right? Like the veggie race, the crazy hot dog vendor. We have a swimming pool. We have a deck. We have a picnic area. If you're a history buff, like I'm sure the three of us probably are, you can walk through the main concourse and see history from the Reading Indians, the Reading Red Sox when they were here, baseball in Reading before the stadium. Every Phil's team ever. You can see our 2 Hall of Fame areas, one on the left field side, one on the right field side. Like there's just so much to do here. And I think that, I can't take much credit for that. I kind of came into this inheritedly, but the organization has done a great job just finding a way to cater to like every demographic of person, young, old, uh, kid, baseball fan, not baseball fan, foodie, fireworks, promotions, giveaways, like they've found a way to like cater to everybody. And I think that's what makes this place, so special. And it's also that mix, that old time feel with that modern touch where, you still get that nostalgia of what baseball was like when we were growing up, but you also kind of get a glance into the future and kind of what's next from this team. So yeah, I mean, I could talk all day about this for sure. And it's just kind of amazing how there's just so many different layers of this ballpark and how it caters really feels like to anybody. Like you talk to people, it's like, I'm not a baseball fan. Well, it's like, what do you like? You like music? Got that for you. You like trying different cocktails, got that. Like, it can go on and on just about how there's something for everybody here.
It's always an affordable option for families to bring them out to the ballpark down there in Reading. Of course, they just ranked First Energy Stadium as the number 19 as the oldest active baseball stadium in the country. It's impressive, and each and every time you guys redo something down there, it always feels like a nostalgic ballpark, which is the amazing thing down there. And like you mentioned too, Jake, free parking as well. It's always a very affordable option. Coming up here on opening night, though, you guys have a big time giveaway, one of the biggest giveaways you guys have ever done down there in Baseball Town on opening night. Talk a little bit about what's up for grabs when folks walk through those gates on opening night, Jake.
Yeah, for sure. First 4,000 adults through the gates get a Baseball Town Connect jersey and hat combo. So I believe it's the first dual giveaway we've ever done. It's definitely like the most amount of pieces we've ever ordered for a giveaway, also. I mean, that's 8,000 pieces we're giving away. And it's not a choice, it's not a hat or jersey, it's a hat and a jersey. So everybody is going to get both of them. And it's just such a sweet design. I mean, I got to give a huge shout out to our design team for the work they did putting that together. When we released it back in November, the reception from just publicly was awesome. People really excited. It was kind of our spin on the City Connects, right? And what all the major league teams did and what all the Phillies did of their City Connect Fridays, and say, hey, like, we've been called Baseball Town. How can we pay homage to this community and everything that it's meant to us? And let's have a jersey that recognizes us. And everybody kind of loves that powder blue color. I mean, the Phillies have done a great job kind of popularizing that. So kind of just latching onto that, I think people have really, really uh, fallen in love with this jersey. So just to see everybody's going to get it. The team's going to wear it as well on Tuesday night. So, I mean, I definitely encourage to, get here early because A, they can catch you outside the main gate. And then on top of that, you can get your Baseball Town Connect jersey and hat because, I mean, tickets have gone fast and the reception's been really strong and they will go fast. So definitely get your tickets now. Get here early to try to secure yourself the hat jersey kit.
Jake, one of the mystiques or the fun part about minor league ballparks are the promotions that each team's promotion teams comes up with every year. Some of them are zany, some of them are a little off the wall, a little goofy, but they're fun, they're creative. In your tenure here as RFil's broadcaster, what promotions have been your favorite ones that have kind of stuck out over the last couple years?
Yeah, I mean, I've always been a big bobblehead guy. I can look to my left and see like my whole bobblehead collection. We've had a lot of cool ones, obviously. The Phillies guys, the Painters, the Nolas, the Bones and the Stotts. I'm a Penn State guy, so we did a Nick Singleton bobblehead last year. We're doing another Nick Singleton bobblehead this year. Chris McDonald, from Happy Gilmore, we did a bobblehead giveaway for him. We've done one with Bohm's walk-up song, with Stott's walk-up song. Roger Maris we did last year. We're doing a Rocky Colavito one this year. Those have all been really cool. Uh, Obviously, we do a lot of fireworks. That's always super cool, especially around the 4th of July. We did one last year. We're doing two of them this year. I think the drone show might be like the coolest one that I've had a chance to see. And it resonated. I mean, we had a top 25 all-time attendance mark for this stadium last May when we did a drone show. And there was some rain that day too. So if it didn't rain, we probably would have been like top 15 or top 10. And I remember not really knowing what to expect. But even like I was blown away by how cool it was and the different logos they could do. Now, usually after the game, you're doing so many things. So like maybe I'll stop for a second and watch a fireworks show. But the drone show, like I actually was like, you know what? I'll put to the side my stuff for a couple of minutes here. I'm gonna actually park myself and watch this show because I was intrigued and it was cool. So we're doing it twice this year, and I think the reception will probably be just as similar, if not better, than what it was last year.
The drone shows are always cool. Like you said, you guys got two of them coming up this season. Also, multiple fireworks displays throughout the year. You guys always do the Mega Blast fireworks as well throughout the season down there in Reading. You also led the attendance last year, 396,455, averaging just over 6,000 folks a game down there in Reading. Talk about, too, some of those specialty games that you guys do, Jake. You had a huge response to the Reading Iced Coffees, the morning game that's going to be coming up here. Your merch sold out in a matter of minutes once you guys put it online. Talk about that upcoming game and what that meant for you guys, turning the Reading Fightin Phillies into the Reading Iced Coffees this season.
Yeah, it was super cool to see the response to that. I mean, it garnered so much national buzz. We saw ESPN, Bleacher Report, CBS, everybody picked it up, it felt like. And, the sales followed, right? Like merch sales were through the roof. We set tons of records for single day sales, week sales, month sales, like all from the iced coffees and sales just from a single alternate identity. But yeah, Tuesday, August 25th, we'll rebrand as the Reading Ice Coffees for that game. It is our morning game. So we felt like why not celebrate our early morning game with one of the early morning staples. It feels like that's ever so popular across this country now with the iced coffee. So yeah, super excited for that. We'll have an iced coffee hat giveaway that day. I know all of our merch is back ordered, but like you can still order it. Probably won't get out right away. But definitely, obviously, the earlier you order it, the earlier you'll get it. But it was super cool to see that, and that's minor league baseball, right? It's to have those fun, goofy, alternate identities is kinda like one of the cool parts about it. Like, I know, when Zach Wheeler pitched for Lehigh Valley, I forget what they were wearing, but it was one of their, goofy alternate identities, and he's like, "Hey, like, that's minor league baseball, right? They gotta make money somehow." So, it's cool. We've done that. We do a lot of Disney theme ones. We have our Reading Pros. That was another popular one last year that we're bringing back for a couple of days in September. But yeah, we're just trying to tag on to as many of those, theme nights as possible because people really do dig them and try to do as many things around the stadium, on the video board, music wise, video wise, whatever, to kind of just continue to tie ourselves to that theme, that jersey we're wearing, and what we're doing for the night.
Jake, in addition to the cool and fun promotions you guys do, and all the ballpark amenities, obviously the maybe the biggest draw are the players on the field, and South Central PA being a huge Philadelphia Phillies fan base, and of course the attraction of seeing some of the future Phillies play down in Reading. Let's get into that a little bit. I know I'm looking over some of the top prospects in the organization, and two of the higher prospects in the top 10 are going to be taking the field this year for Reading. Aaron Escobar, Dante Nori. What can you tell us about those two guys? What you've seen from them previously, and maybe how they project out here as the season goes on.
Yeah, absolutely. Super excited to have both of those guys in Reading this year. They both had about a week here last year to finish off the season. So they got a little bit of double A time under their belt, but this will be their first extended run at this level. And they always say that double A is the hardest level in the minors because this is like really where the most talent is. So I'm excited to kind of see how both of those guys make that jump. But also need to be patient too, right? Both of those guys are still very young. They're both barely 20, 21 years old. I'll start with Escobar. Expect to see him pretty much every day in the lineup. He'll play a lot of second base. He'll also spend some time at third base this year as well. Uh, you know, Good right-handed bat, gap to gap power, can hit it out of the ballpark too. So excited for him. I think he's still kind of growing into his body a bit. So excited to kind of see how he progresses this year. And Dante Nori, right? He kind of took the global baseball scene by storm with Team Italy in that World Baseball Classic. I know we had a 2 home run game. Italy beat the United States. They had the espresso um, machine maker, espresso shots, whatever it was in their dugout. So I mean, that was an experience that I think is only going to benefit him in the long run. I think it kind of proved to him that I think he knew that he could play with the best, but it really proved that hey, like I can play with the best. I expect to see him also in the lineup pretty much every day this year. Pretty much in center field. I think he might play a little bit of left field as well. But I think for the most part, the Phillies want to see him in center field. But, look, similar to Arun Escobar, similar to Aidan Miller last year and Justin Crawford a couple of years back, he's very young, right? And I think that we just need to preach patience with these guys. Like it's a hard jump to go from high A to double A. So guys might struggle at times, but I think patience is really, really important with both of them. But I think they both also are immense talents. The Phillies are very high on both of them. And I'm super excited to get a chance to see both of them get their seasons rolling tonight.
One of the amazing things too, Jake, down there at Double A Reading. I mean, everybody knows how well you guys develop the players to make that jump to Triple A, to make it to the major leagues. Johan Rojas, he came right out of Double A Reading, went right into the major leagues. You guys lost Felix Reyes. He's probably going to be up, of course, with Lehigh Valley this coming year. He was the Eastern League MVP last year. Aiden Miller dealing with some injury issues here to start this season. Also talk about Al Patrique. He's coming back for his fourth season, what he means to the Reading Fightin Phillies down there, coming back for a fourth year.
Yeah, first off, just Miller and Reyes. Obviously, I hope Miller is back soon. I know that it was reported he's dealing with some back stuff, so just hopefully it's able to get swings and get the at bats he needs and gets back with Lehigh Valley because he had a really, really strong finish to the year last year, and carried that into a week at AAA before their season ended. So, I hope he can really have a good start to the season and maybe put himself in the conversations for can he get a big league call up at some point soon. And then Felix Reyes, same thing. Like he's a guy who he pretty much, I mean, he came out of nowhere, right? Like in 2024, he played it's like 70 or so games at Jersey Shore, hit a little over 240. Didn't even break camp with a team because they didn't really know where to put him. So they kind of kept him in Clearwater to work on his defense and got here mid to late April and just hit the ground running. He wasn't really an everyday player until June. And I asked Al Padrigue, I think in early June, how do you keep him out of the lineup every day? And he's like, I don't know. And really from there, he was in the lineup every day, hit 335, won the league batting title, won league MVP. Really took himself from someone who was kind of totally off the radar to is very much like could be in the Phillies' future plans. He had a great spring training. I think caught a lot of eyes there as well too. So yeah, I mean, he's going to play every day in Lehigh Valley. He's played some first. He's played both corner outfield spots. The big thing with him is just going to be where does he go defensively, right? Like at the big league level, there's the DH spot is not open. That's Kyle Schwarber's spot pretty much for 155 games this season, if not more. If I had to guess long term, I think he's going to be a left fielder. But I mean, they tried him in left, they tried him in right. He's played some first. He's even played some third. But my gut makes me think he's probably a left fielder long term, but I'm intrigued to see where the Phillies put him. Al Padrique, just one of the best baseball guys that you have. He's done a heck of a job developing players here. I think in minor league baseball it gets hard sometimes because the fans naturally look at the win loss record. It's one of those things in minor league baseball you have to look past that because at the end of the day, the goal is you're developing players to either a help the Phillies, or B, help the Phillies trade for guys that can help them. I mean, like you look at like a Mick Abel, right? The Phillies developed him, able to trade him for Johan Duran. So that's kind of one of those things that he's done a great job with. He won the John Vukovich Award by the Phillies this past offseason. That's kind of given the top well-respected coach or instructor in the Phillies organization. So that was a great honor for him. And he's very optimistic and bullish, and a lot of people are on this team. So it feels like that he has a lot of good chips in place this year. That the Fightin Phils could hopefully put a good season together. But he's a great guy to have. It's very rare in minor league baseball that a manager manages for 3 seasons or more. I believe he's only the fifth manager in the 60 years of this franchise to be with a team for a fourth season or longer. So it's very rare, but we're very happy to have him back because he's been just a great person to have, just not just with the Fightin Phils, but in this community too.
Jake, as you take a look at this roster as the season gets underway tonight, where do you see the strength of this team? Was it where is the most depth? Is it the hitting lineup? Is it the starting rotation, the bullpen? How do you see that shaking out?
Yeah. I think for the first time in a while, I think it's a very deep pitching staff this year. It's a starting staff that has a lot of veterans on, and it's a bullpen that has a lot of veteran pieces too. And one thing Al Padrique talked about at our media day on Monday is that we have a lot of veterans on this pitching staff, both starters and the bullpen. And he feels like it's a lot of guys that can throw strikes. And it sounds really simple, but in this game, especially at this level, if you can throw strikes, you can get hitters out. Obviously, you don't want to give up too many hard hit balls, but guy swings a bat, he's only going to get on base 25% of the time on average, right? So So you can throw strikes, you're going to get guys out, and a lot of guys who have been around the block, both with the Phillies and other organizations. So I think this pitching staff is built really, really well. Our first three starters are all guys that have been in the minor leagues for, well, not minor leagues, but are all 25 years age or older. A lefty, Adam Seminaris, free agent edition, gets the opening night start Thursday. Friday is Kyle Bernovich. He's a free agent from the Orioles system. And then Chuck King goes Saturday to finish off the series. And he's someone who, I think he's 27, 28 years old, was just an absolute workhorse for us last year. So, yeah, a lot of depth there. Offensively, a little bit different. Offensively is more of a younger group. I think it's a much more raw group. The ceiling is very, very high for this offense, but it's a lot of guys that don't have a lot of double A time under their belt, right? Like you look at Dante Nori, you look at Arun Escobar. Even on top of that, a couple more prospects, Carson DeMartini and Dylan Campbell, a couple of younger guys, 22, 23 years old, who played about half a season in double A last year and had some growing pains. But I think they're guys that are poised for big years too. So, I think pitching is more of a veteran older guy group, and I think the hitters are more of a younger raw group with a lot of potential. Brian Rincona, shortstop, is someone that Al Padrique and even Rob Thompson has said could play shortstop in the big leagues right now. But the bat is still very raw. And for him, it's just going to be staying healthy because he struggled with that over his career. Raylan Heredia, an outfielder, he's making his double A debut tonight as well. So, just a lot of younger guys on offense, not as deep as a group. I think we only have 12 position players, which is definitely thinner for this level. Usually like to carry 13 or 14, but the pitching staff obviously very deep. You have 16 guys on that group, so you got 11 guys coming out of your bullpen. So a lot of options, a lot of arms, but I'm excited. I think it's a good mix of youth and some experience that'll be able to hopefully put together a good start to the season here.
Something that's awesome too, Jake, with Reading in Philadelphia, obviously the longest running continuous affiliation in minor league baseball. This started all the way back in 1967, and its 60th year of being together. Reading Fightin Phillies, and of course the Philadelphia Phillies. How do you think both these squads have made this work for as long as they have in baseball?
Yeah, like you said, it's very rare. You don't see teams have a parent club, the minor league affiliate, for 60 years. It just doesn't happen, and we're very grateful that it's continued to happen. I think the proximity definitely helps, right? We're, on a good day, hour, 15 minutes from here to Citizens Bank Park. I think too is that they've invested in us, in both ends, right? Like we've invested in ourselves, they've invested in us too. I know Craig Stein, now our former owner, when he bought the team in 1987, he really, strengthened that relationship so much so where the Phillies, bought some of the team from him in 2008. And I think the biggest example of that relationship is when 2020 rolled around and minor league baseball's rules changed to basically say, hey, like you need better player facilities, or else you're at risk of losing your affiliation. We kind of at first didn't know what to do. And we eventually built our Renders Event Center, and we got a lot of support from the Phillies, a lot of support from our local politicians here in the state, in Berks County and Reading. And the Phillies played a huge role in that. The Phillies wanted us to stay their affiliate, and they put a lot of resources and a lot of money and a lot of time and effort into getting that event center built and to getting those new player facilities built and out there for the 2024 season, because they value our relationship with them, and they obviously put their money where their mouth is. And now we're at a point where I think this relationship is stronger than it's ever been, and we'll just continue to get stronger every single year.
Jake, I'm curious. There's two intriguing pitching prospects for the Phillies right now that are listed as Double A prospects that are currently injured, going through some Tommy John rehab. Moises Chase and Wen Hui Pan. What can you tell us about them, and as far as how their rehab's going, to the best of your knowledge, and is there a chance that um, they could take them out sometime later this season?
Yeah. I don't know exact timelines of their returns. I would think that Pan is a bit further along than Chase. Pan's surgery, I believe, was the off season going into 2025. Chase had his surgery, I believe it was last May, got injured here in a game about mid-May of last year. So I know to open the season, Pan's on our 7-day IL, Chase is on our 60-day IL. So I would think just by kind of using that as context, that Pond's probably a little bit closer. I don't know what the plan is with Pond. We haven't had a chance to see him yet, but when we do, I'm excited to because I know the Phillies are very high on him. Chase, I would think if we see him pitch at all, it might just be on the backfields in Clearwater, probably later this summer. Maybe we get him late in the season, but usually, surgery in May, you're at probably 13 or so months, so you're really kind of getting back to it. So, maybe we see Chase towards the end of the season, but if not, it wouldn't shock me if he's not back here until 2027. And it was a shame too, because I mean, watching him here in 2024, like he had just electric stuff. I mean, I watched him strike out 13 guys in 6 innings at Somerset Labor Day weekend of 2024, and was just super excited for him. Phillies added him to the 40-man roster as well. So just really hope that he's able to get back and pitch the way that he pitched before.
Jake, one final question from me here before we get going here. I know you're a busy guy here as we head into the opening night of the Reading Fightin Phillies. Anybody in the organization, from Jersey Shore to Reading to Lehigh Valley, anybody in the organization right now that you see is going to make that jump fairly quickly from minor league ball up to the Philadelphia Phillies? That
I
jump out
think
at you.
I think the name right now that a lot of people have talked about is last year's first round pick, Gage Wood. He kind of really burst onto the scene with an impressive complete game in the College World Series last year with Arkansas. I remember when the Phillies drafted him, some people said, "Oh, could he be in the bullpen this year?" That's probably very bullish thinking uh, from there. But I mean, I'm not going to liken him and say like he's going to be like Orion Kirkering in 2023, who went every level in one season, but I think Gage Wood could be a fast riser. Usually, college pitchers are quicker risers. So, if I think if he goes out there and has a good start to the year in Single A with Clearwater, this being his first full pro season, I think he's someone that could be a very fast riser. I don't want to say he could be pitching for the Phillies by September of this year, but I think if there's one guy who has that potential to come quickly through the org and be here in Reading at some point, I think Gage Wood is that guy.
Jake, last question from me. If you could just sort of take us through, when listeners tune in to hear a game, you get to hear the finished product, but I don't think a lot of people realize the stuff that goes on behind the scenes to get you ready for that broadcast. Kind of, if you could walk us through a typical game day for you and how early it starts and how late you finish.
Yeah, 100%. I'll kind of just use like a typical 7 o'clock summer game as a point of reference here. Usually get into the ballpark around 10 a.m. Uh, Maybe a little later, maybe a little earlier, depending on what the schedule looks like that day or how late you got home the night before. A lot of my early part of the day is more of like the PR media relations side of things. So usually like the first thing I try to do is get my game notes done for the day. That usually takes me about an hour, hour and a half to get those done. Sent out to the media, printed out for broadcasters and media that's going to be here that night. Uh, then usually kind of from there, I'll go and, meet with our manager, drop off, any new rosters, deliver stats to him and the coaching staff. Usually once or twice a week, I'll sit down with him and do about a 10 or 15-minute interview that will run on our pregame show. And then get our starting lineups, hopefully for both teams by then. And then from there, kind of just work on some social media content, our lineup cards that we have to give to like the media and just like the official ones that go for our official scores and stuff like that. A lot of it's something just, getting caught up on other things, happening around here also. If we do have media coming on a particular day, just being the one who coordinates that interview and just dealing with a ton of just miscellaneous stuff on a day-to-day basis. Maybe a guy needs a walk-up song changed, or maybe someone's looking for a certain picture, or we want to promote something on social media, right? Like promoting a lot of that stuff miscellaneously. For me, I usually try to set up my day whereby 3 o'clock, I'm able to kind of sit down for like an hour and really kind of dive into my preparation for that night's game, right? Like fill out my book, put my stats in, you know, take some notes, whether it be kind of move stuff from my game notes to my book, just so it's like easily readable, easily digestible for that game. If we're taking batting practice that day, I usually try to go down for that. And I just try to talk to as many guys as possible. I'm just trying to take as much into because I'm a big A relationship guy, but B, you can look at stats and do as much research, but there's so many stories and tidbits and nuggets that you can tell from being around there and talking to the guys. You might say, oh, like base hit the right field by this guy. He was really focusing in batting practice today on driving the ball the other way. It's something you're not going to know by just reading notes or reading stats or something like that. So, try to do that, have as many conversations as possible. And then if I need to get an interview a guy after batting practice for our pregame show. And then usually after batting, once we get to like 5 o'clock on a game day, I try to be pretty much have everything wrapped up. If I have to do any catch up work, if there's a late lineup change, a late roster move, like so I have time to address those. If I have to finish my book or finish any final prep, I'll knock that out. Uh, Grab a bite to eat, and then 6:45 we go on the air, and I try to like just relax the last like half hour, 45 minutes to an hour before the game starts. If I need to cram late, I will. But I've always found myself to be at my best on the air when I have time. Like a player, like the players aren't sitting there and digest watching film a half hour before the game. They're just relaxing by their lockers and they get out there and start warming up 15 minutes before the game. So I try to take a very similar approach and then, call the game, do other stuff you have to do during the game, social media content and like game ends, knock out post game work, 7 o'clock game, say if it goes 2.5 hours, 9:30 game ends are usually done around 10:15, and then you head home and you do it all again the next day.
Jake, we love your calls, man, on the Reading Fightin Phillies radio network there, man. Can't wait to hear more of it here as we get underway down there in Reading for the Reading Fightin Phillies home opener against the Hartford Yard Goats. Going to happen later tonight. Jake, I'll see you in a couple of hours down there outside of First Energy Stadium. Hopefully we can do this again, man, like mid-season and go back over everything and see where the Reading Fightin Phillies stand here later on in the season. Best of luck, man, going forward here.
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate you guys having me on. Excited to, see you a little bit later tonight outside of the stadium and see all the opening night festivities get underway. But yeah, thanks for having me on. Would definitely love to come back whenever. So yeah, appreciate it, guys, and can't wait for baseball season to get going here.